Welcome to KMET 1490 AM ABC News Radio and the Southern California Business Report with Yvette Walker, a show dedicated to highlighting successful Southern California businesses and the people behind them.
Welcome and thank you for joining the Southern California Business Report on ABC News and Talks, KMET 1490 AM, 98.1 FM, and KMET TV. I'm Yvette Walker, live blasting our signal from the center of Southern California, serving a population of over 25 million. Get us crystal clear and on demand by downloading the free live streaming app on Google Play and the Apple App Store. As always, a huge shout out to the team, Mitch, Bill, and Sean. I love you guys, and to our special advisory committee, including Jose and Camila Rubio, Jason Anderson, San Bernardino County District Attorney, Supervisor Kurt Hagman, Fontana Mayor Aquanetta Warren, Ontario Mayor Paul Leon, Assistant Sheriff Sam Fisk, and don't forget to visit scbrtalk.com for the full group of the advisory committee for Southern California Business Report. Today, I have the distinct honor to introduce Mr. Jeff Burum, chairman of National Community Renaissance. In 1991, using his own resources, Mr. Burum co-founded National Community Renaissance in response to the need for affordable housing in San Bernardino County. 5 years later, wanting to provide more than shelter to low-income families and to seniors, he co-founded the Hope Through Housing Foundation to offer programs and services that transform the lives of residents. Today, National Corps is one of the largest national nonprofit affordable housing developers in the country. Burum is a longtime affordable housing advocate. Early in his career, he was one of 22 real estate professionals to be appointed by Congress to serve on the Millennial Housing Commission, whose mission was to make recommendations for federal housing policy to legislators. During his 30 years in the development field, Burum established 3 successful real estate companies in addition to National Corps and Hope Through Housing, including Diversified Pacific Communities, a builder of custom quality single-family home communities throughout Southern California, Diversified Pacific Opportunity Fund, founded in 2008 in response to the market downturn and has raised more than $60 million in private capital to purchase and develop land and other real estate assets. And Colonies Crossroads, a land investment group that has developed a 400-acre master planned community featuring more than 1,000 residential homes and more than 1 million square feet of commercial space, of which Burum is a managing partner. Burum is active in the community, serving on many nonprofit and for-profit boards, and previously served on the board of Pomona Valley Habitat for Humanity and AIG Sun America's asset management company. Thank you for being with us today, Mr. Burum.
Thank you, Yvette. It's always an honor to be invited on your show and talk about all the great things that are going on in our region.
Absolutely. And, it's remarkable how our region is, the poster child for solutions, opportunities, and success. And I feel so inspired when I get to interview leaders such as yourself that are doing tremendous work in the region and throughout the country to offer those solutions, identify those opportunities, and enact and demonstrate success. So thank you so much for being with us today. As you know, one of my first questions to all of my guests is just to kind of give us a background, walk us through what inspired you to pursue, this journey of affordable housing, development, and then now also, running a professional indoor sports organization, the Empire Strykers.
Well, Yvette, I think like many of us, we didn't grow up in the most ideal environments, but like playing Monopoly, it's not how you start the game. I've always felt it's how you finish it. And so, my mother raised 4 kids on her own. Our father was at a far distance when we got to hear from him. So she raised us with the value based upon what she did, right? I mean, she worked a couple jobs to feed us, to clothe us. And it really taught me the ethics of hard work. And she always inspired us, telling us we could, grow up and be anything that we wanted in this world. And so it wasn't hard for me to follow that footpath that she laid for us, and for me to create National Corps. At the original days, it was called SoCal Housing. It wasn't hard to create a concept based upon, my partner and I, Andy Wright's upbringing. We were both raised by single moms, and we knew that kids, just because they're stationed in life, just needed a little hope. And so we tried to create a company that could stabilize their lives and show them that there were companies out there and people out there that cared about them. So if we could provide stable environment where they could learn to thrive, then we could make the world a better place by encouraging these young kids. So we've spent the last, 30 plus years doing just that. And at the same time, we've tried to create communities in the for-profit sector that where people could work and play, in their own local community, and they didn't have to commute into Los Angeles or Orange County, which is what the empire was really built based upon, commuters. And we've been trying to make it a home for the 5 million that have moved out here ever since. So we're real proud of what we try to do in this region, and we truly try to think of the community first in most of what we do.
Absolutely. And so I've had the pleasure and privilege of visiting a few of your communities, and I just have to say, they are absolutely stunning. They look like resorts. And I think our upbringings were very similar in the sense that, also raised by a single mother for a majority of my life, and honestly wishing I would have grown up in one of your communities. I think life would have been so much easier, so much safer, and so much fulfilling with the programs that you have integrated into your communities. They're absolutely stellar, which we'll start talking about in a moment. But let's start off by talking a little bit about those statistics, surrounding affordable housing. In California, we're looking at, really a huge deficit and a huge need for affordable housing. What are the things that you're seeing as a developer?
Well, I mean, we can't keep up with even though our population isn't growing today like it has in the past. We're still, so far behind, and the number of units that we need in California that I don't know that it's possible we'll ever catch up. But what we can do is, on an annual basis, try to provide the best that we can until the government realizes that they're going to have to help lead the charge with getting the local politicians to follow suit. They've tried to create RENA numbers, which are real estate housing needs assessments for the local regions. But really, that's just, it's a challenge in its own right, because it's really only imposed upon new growth. So you have to provide affordable housing now on new properties, but the existing ones, still don't have the same requirements. Most of the new construction of affordable housing is taken and built on the back of existing housing and the new developments, and which only proliferates the cost of housing. So it doesn't really help, the middle strands, which we've got to do a better job at, right? Workforce housing is a key component to California's long-term success.
Absolutely. And so I'm looking at, reports and statistics offered by the California Housing Needs Report for 2022, and it shows that the state is only funding 16% of what it needs to meet its goals. I mean, as a developer, I'm sure you see this all the time. How do you respond to this?
We get up every day and we try to make the system, we make recommendations to make the system better. But we don't always get our way. I mean, Redlands right now is getting ready to contemplate putting a $37,000 a unit tax as an inclusionary housing requirement to the cost of every new unit constructed in their town, which will only stifle development, right? Because it adds $37,000 a unit. So, whether that's 7 or 8%, depending on the cost of the housing that comes out of the ground, but it's somewhere in that tune for an average price in Redlands these days. So most developers won't build until the market increases. It comes off the back of the landowners that already own it. In the long run, we've all got to pitch in. Either it's got to come from the state taxes that they already collect in a larger amount, and it's not just relying upon, frankly, the federal government, federal tax credits. The entitlements in our country have continued to grow over the last 30 years to the point where if we don't end multi-generational dependency to encourage people to get out of affordable housing and off of Medicaid and off of food stamps. No one wants to help the disadvantaged more than I. I spent my whole life, the last 30 years dedicated to it, but they have to come with a process that encourages people to get on their own 2 feet, not, to continue to give them aid to not stand on their own. And so there's a combination in there that the 2 parties in our country at some point have to figure out how to collaborate and find a middle ground so that we can both cap the entitlements, but at the same time add more money into the pie for affordable housing and families that are in need.
Absolutely. So looking at the data for National Core, I'm looking at you have total assets equaling over $850 million with over 10,000 units, over 20,000 residents, over 2 million service hours, and over 300 employees. What makes National Core's model for affordable housing different from the standard affordable housing model?
Well, when we created the program in 1991, when we incorporated the original company, SoCal Housing, it was really founded on a mission heart. But frankly, because as a private sector developer, we brought in a business mind. So we've tried to blend caring for people with running it as a business. And so when we run it as a business, instead of being the typical nonprofit that was there in 1991, we realized that if we could get 1,000 or 1,500 units, we'd be able to hire our own property management staff and team that we'd be able to pay for in house, and that would give us revenue if we were able to create property management fees. So we were the first nonprofit to manage our own buildings, and from that derived revenue from managing our own buildings that would keep our organization sustained. Then from there, because I was a general contractor, I had a general contractor's license, I put it with National Core. And we started building our own buildings. Now we're the largest single builder nonprofit in the country, with frankly almost $4 billion in assets. And so I think we have 14 projects under construction, which makes us one of the largest in the entire country, whether you're a for-profit or nonprofit. I don't know there's any other nonprofit country that's ever built over 5, 6, 7 of them in the course of a year. So what we have is a great team that could be employed with any private sector developer in this world, and would do a great job. But we try to get them to work for us to help make a difference in this world and to care about people. So they get up every day. I think, I always look at us and I tell the employees at National Core, we're the luckiest people in the world because we get to work for an organization and get paid, though I don't get paid. They do. And they get paid to help people. And they see a significant difference in their lives every day from doing it. So it's the best job in the world, I think.
I completely agree, especially having seen the other side of the coin, right? So being able to, use your talents, your energy, and your resources to really impacting lives and transforming lives, as I've seen that you do, is quite a gift, actually. So, Mr. Burum, please talk a little bit about what some of those programs look like that people would be surprised to learn that are integrated into your communities.
Well, we have a whole host of things that we use for going from, childhood development up to seniors. So most people don't realize we actually have licensed preschools on our properties. We have after-school programs, we have literacy programs, we have teen clubs, we have financial literacy for adults. We have one-on-one coaching for adults. We try to help families understand through home buying classes how to save their money to be able to buy their own home, so they don't have to live in our communities their whole lives. We sit down with them and go over their budgets. We have budgeting classes. We have money match programs that we have grant providers. So anyone that's trying to buy their own home that are saving dollars, we have money match programs to help encourage them to make savings. And then it goes into our senior health and wellness programs, and where we try not to only encourage seniors to eat healthy, we try to teach them that, and which leads to one of the big things we're working on, which is a Core Academy. Core Academy is going to be a magnet school where we can recruit young kids, but also in the long run train seniors that want to still do something in the retirement, from art to making clothes, to some of the youth and seniors that still want to do, some of the older folks that used to want to always, or in the old days, we used to work on our own cars. I don't know about you, Yvette, but when I first got my first car, I had an uncle that taught me how to change the oil and try to figure out how to change the belts in the car. And then it led into me one day trying to actually fix things I probably shouldn't have tried to fix in some of these old cars. Because I remember it taking me about a month for me to put one back together one day because I didn't find all the bolts where I had left them. So there's all kinds of things like that. But when you're a senior, you want to do something in life. You don't want to just sit around and watch television and sit. I have a dear friend of mine in my life whose wife passed away 5 weeks ago, and he's 93. And his mind, when he gets up every day, he wants to do something. His mind's not what it used to be, but doesn't mean it can't be what it can be today.
Right.
And so we try to create programs that continue to encourage them to want to get up every day, live a healthy life where they are excited when they get up and not just feeling it's another day they got to get by.
I love that. And so obviously, in addition to some of those governmental regulations, as a developer, what would you say needs to change in order to build and deliver more affordable housing, specifically your affordable housing? And I have to say I'm biased because I've been on the campus. I've seen these integrated programs that, as you have said, are not designed to only house people, but they're actually designed to cultivate the natural gifts people have within your community and elevate them.
I'm a big believer in the tax code, right? I mean, everyone complains about the billionaires in this world that don't pay their fair share of taxes, and I don't necessarily disagree with that statement. I think the gap between the wealthiest in this world and the poorest continues to grow every passing year. But they've learned the tax code, right? So it's hard to place blame on them when they're just following the laws that exist in this world. So my point is, if we created more tax incentives, and one that I'm trying to get in front of the Senate Finance Committee in Washington here in the next week at a hearing, that we looked at it during, you mentioned the Millennial Housing Commission when I was on it in the early 2000s. One of the big things we looked at was called exit tax relief. So exit tax relief, and the real estate business, we have 27-year tax depreciation. So, for example, our nonprofit, that's a nonprofit, we have to depreciate our assets. You referred to us being $850 million. I think we're more than that these days, but on our book balance, because we have to depreciate our assets. So unlike a for-profit entity that has, their balance sheets that also depreciate, they also get to recognize market value. We don't. And so because we can't use the tax benefits, we still have to take it as a deduct on our balance sheet, but there's no benefit to us. But if we could syndicate those benefits to the 3.7% a year, we have a couple $2 billion in assets that we could syndicate to get more money to affordable housing. But at the end of the day, what happens is if they're a partner in the project, they have to pay whatever depreciated gain when they exit. If we could get exit tax relief, we'd get a lot more money into the affordable housing business, because most of them don't ever exit till death. Because right now, the tax code allows you to get a step up in basis and pay no taxes if, in fact, you die. I think there's probably more common ground in there that we should be able to find besides death relieving you of taxes.
Well, there's that saying, there's two sure things in life, and that is death and taxes. So I'm looking forward to you integrating a third option to that. Talk a little bit more about that hearing in DC, if you can.
So we have a new Congress. There's one of the parties that hasn't been in power in the House of Representatives for a while, and they're in power now, and they're looking for new ideas. And so they know they've got to wrestle both with the rising cap on entitlements, but at the same time, they're looking for ideas and how they can help people. So we think this is one way maybe we can create an incentive for the billionaires in this world to donate to causes like infrastructure and affordable housing, instead of finding loopholes and tax shelters in other places that really don't help the world as much. All the tax loopholes are meant to help people, but I'm not sure there's a ranking in that priority schedule. And I think things like stable housing in our country, water, power are important, transportation. all very important to our national economy and our ability to work. So I think if we're able to create more affordable housing, what we really don't look at are the economic benefits, the number of people that are hired, number of people, jobs that are created through construction, both rehab and new construction. So when we put tax credits in the creating more affordable housing, I actually believe it creates more income down the road than it does that it takes away today. So, I mean, those are the kind of things that they're looking for. And so we're preparing a white paper with some of the smartest CPAs and tax lawyers in the world. And we're going to offer it as an idea and see if it goes anywhere again. You know, we try to do it every day. They're not always accepted. And, you know, we tried to do one in California, an infrastructure loan program that we thought was brilliant. That, you know, when we had the big surplus, if they would have put, you know, $1 billion or $2 billion infrastructure loan program where they got all the money back and they could be used as a recycling to help, you know, spur development on some of the larger projects that are sitting dormant because CEQA has caused the infrastructure load to be so large. They have environmental issues that need to be surfaced with impacts that we don't have a code or a process like development standards that says if you're going to remove, you know, an acre of sagebrush, you know, you got to replace it with X. It's really left up to the bureaucrats, and they change it every passing year that run the California fishing game. And there's no consistency. So if you buy a piece of land today, the rules could change on you tomorrow. And that really hurts the incentives for people to buy property in the long run to get developed.
Wow, that sounds very difficult to navigate and impressive to see how much you've grown in spite of those barriers that are built in. That to me sounds like a true uphill battle. And so I'm going to put on my planning commissioner hat for a moment because I have sat before the community and heard, you know, developers and their desires to build affordable housing. And you have some of those sentiment regarding, you know, what many consider NIMBYism, right? So let's talk a little bit about the common misconceptions surrounding those that are in need of affordable housing and what your experience has been with your residents today.
Well, I mean, the original affordable housing that was created in our country was created by the government, right? So it was an act that was enacted in the 1960s that got public housing authorities to start building housing. And they built them like barracks, right? They were brownstones, higher density than anything else in town, cheapest construction cost, and they created a stigmatism on affordable housing. But if you come to our properties today, that's not what affordable housing is. We designed them so that any of our residents that move into our properties, you don't know when they're pulling into that building whether it's an affordable housing complex or not. And many of them are mixed income, right? So most of them we try to do is mixed income, which you could have anyone from, you know, 40% of median income out in this area making $40,000 of subsidies up to $100,000 out here. And so you want to be able to create an atmosphere and an environment where kids feel like they're an average person in society. In a stable ground with enough to worry about the social issues that can affect you in low-income neighborhoods. So, you know, when you live in Rancho Cucamonga, where I live, you know, we have people, like you said, that don't want those projects built in the backyard, but they need to be educated. And sometimes, you know, people, once they have theirs, they don't care about those that don't have theirs. You know, and I believe everyone in this world deserves a fair chance at stable housing and the American dream, home ownership. So we just try to build communities that, by example, show the world what affordable housing can be, and try to encourage jurisdictions, which, you know, these days is frankly that is much easier than it was 30 years ago because they now see what it can be, and I'm proud to say that we've helped lead the way in that regard.
Absolutely, because you know, I recently had the privilege of visiting your Veterans Park community, which was open during the pandemic, it seems. So it was kind of a delayed reception. But you know, going through the property, you know, looking around, you're in there, and it doesn't look, you know, it doesn't look like an institution, right? It doesn't look like institutional housing. It looks like a resort, literally. Every appointment, every design, every color scheme, every layout, the common areas are just beautiful. The playgrounds are so inviting. And to me, it looks more like a resort than an affordable housing complex. It's just so beautifully designed. And implemented. And, when you see these communities within the community that you build them, they absolutely stand out. So they're just absolutely gorgeous. But we're coming up on a break, so we'll touch more on that in a moment. So for those listening, I'm Yvette Walker on Southern California Business Report on ABC News and Talks, KMET 1490 AM, 98.1 FM, and KMET TV, talking with Mr. Jeff Burum, Chairman of National Community Renaissance, with a mission to support families and seniors by providing housing communities that are affordable, safe, and of the highest quality, and owner of the Empire Strykers, a professional indoor soccer team that plays at the Toyota Arena, talking about the affordable housing landscape and the journey of building community through soccer when we return.
Cal State San Bernardino is home to the only school of entrepreneurship in California. With globally ranked degree programs, you can start your journey today to become a successful entrepreneur. Learn more and connect at entre.csusb.edu.
Every 2 seconds, someone needs a blood transfusion. Be on the giving side. Livestream Blood Bank supports patients in 80 Southern California hospitals. Call 1-800-TRY-GIVING for more information and to set an appointment.
Hi, Ray Lance from the Diamond Center in the Claremont Village here. One of the coolest parts of a third-generation family business is getting to know the families we serve through generations. Once you experience our friendly service, our fair and transparent pricing, and our beautiful jewelry that we make to last a lifetime, you'll stick with us too. Come visit us in the Claremont Village or at Lantz, L-A-N-T-Z, diamondcenter.com and see what makes us different.
Ontario International Airport is on to a better way to fly with over 65 daily nonstop flights to more than 20 major destinations and the easiest airport experience in Southern California. Visit flyonto.com/Ontario to learn more about Ontario International Airport today.
City of Hope is driven to making a difference in the lives of people with cancer and diabetes. We accomplish this by conducting innovative research and providing outstanding care. If you or a loved one has received a cancer diagnosis, go to cityofhope.org to learn more about how our innovative approach could change your outcome.
The University of La Verne is rated first in California for alumni satisfaction. Learn more about accelerated programs offered online and on campus in La Verne, Irvine, Ontario, Burbank, or College of the Canyons. Visit go.laverne.edu. The University of La Verne. go.laverne.edu.
Hi, I'm San Bernardino County Sheriff Shannon Dykes. If you're looking to start an exciting career in law enforcement and make a difference in your community, we are hiring dispatchers, nurses, deputies, laterals, and many more. For a complete list of our jobs and more information, visit sheriffsjobs.com.
Welcome back. For those listening, I'm Yvette Walker on Southern California Business Report on ABC News and Talks, KMET 1490 AM, 98.1 FM, and KMET TV, talking with Mr. Jeff Burum, Chairman of National Community Renaissance, with a mission to support families and seniors by providing housing communities that are affordable, safe, and of the highest quality, and owner of the Empire Strykers, a professional indoor soccer team that plays at the Toyota Arena, talking about the affordable housing landscape and the journey of building community through soccer. Thank you again for being with us today, Mr. Burum.
Thank you, Yvette. I love being on your show. So
perfect. Thank you so much. So prior to the break, we were talking a little bit about, some of the challenges that exist within, the developers' work of actually developing, right? As well as what makes your communities different from a standard, affordable housing community. The resort style versus the institutional look, right? Is complete night and day, and as well as with the integrated programs that you're offering. So, as we look at the challenges of being able to provide the necessary affordable housing units that really should be in existence, but you're working towards developing as we speak. Um, how can the community support your efforts and really, bolster the efforts of developers that are looking to deliver affordable housing to their communities?
You know, we do community meetings, sometimes 3 or 4 before when we're making a proposal. And it's really about educating the community. It's making them understand this isn't people that we're bringing in from, forgive me, Los Angeles or Long Beach or San Francisco or wherever their fear is, these people are coming from. We're trying to educate them to understand these are people that are working at the fast food restaurants, the grocery stores. These are nurses. These are young kids that both, don't have the financial support either from their family or enough financial support for their families because they don't have it to give. And so when we try to put faces to the properties and why we're creating them, it's over the long haul, it's made a larger impact, and we've been able to get more affordable housing built in this country in our neighborhoods. And I think that's really the formula for success is educating the population to make them understand this could be their kids. These are foster kids that have been, out on their own, on age 18. Our system isn't designed. Sometimes they can get some grants to be able to go to college. Most of them don't. And so what we're trying to do is create a stable environment for which they can grow, get some stability in their lives, and get them to dream again, get them to believe that they can be something that they're not today. And unfortunately, too many of our kids in that first 18 years of their life give up hope. So our job is to help the community understand that, and for not just our organization, but the entire community to embrace them and help understand that we could all together, arm in arm, create hope for the next generation.
I love it. Could you share with us, one of your favorite stories of a transformation that has occurred as a result of your programs and affordable housing model?
There's so many. I mean, we have kids that have gone off to Harvard. You mentioned the project, the Veterans Park project. I don't know if you saw Beto that night, but Beto was a homeless veteran, and he is now on the property, helping us clean it up, do maintenance on the property because he just wanted an opportunity. He doesn't want a free handout. He just needed an ability to be stable because he didn't have the money to put down on down payments for the ability to move into the units. He didn't have that financial wherewithal, and he would never get it in his meager allocation from his veterans pension and Social Security. So what we try to do with him, and there's other. I don't know if you've met Paul Tully, but Paul Tully was again a younger homeless veteran. It served a few years in the Middle East wars. I don't know exactly which one, but he came out, got stable in one of our properties, and was able to pursue his dream of being in the film industry. So he's writing plays now. He produces. Wow. We helped him produce his first movie off his first play. He just literally got back from the Berlin Film Festival. He's going to be in Cannes Film Festival. I mean, there's so many. I mean, there's thousands with the hundreds of thousands that we've helped. There are thousands and thousands of inspirational stories of these people that have been, gotten their lives together and gotten back because of the stability of their environment and their home, that they were able to go home to every night knowing they were safe and they could dream again. That it's just endless in our world. I mean, we see it every day. We profile 3 residents every year at our big annual gala that we put on, and it's always fun going through, the stories with the team and who they want to profile and why, and which ones want to come tell the story, right? It's always a proud moment for our entire team when we get to see them up with us on the stage telling their story and making people realize the donors are making a difference in their lives and their families' lives.
I love it. And so switching gears here, talking about advocacy for communities and transforming lives, you also made national headlines and news for your advocacy for Measure EE, which recently passed here at the last election cycle. Please talk a little bit about that.
Well, I kind of was looking at the government's last 2 years of appropriations when they put out their what they call their May revise on their annual budget. And the last 2 years we had a total cumulative $83 billion surplus. And through that budget, I saw San Bernardino County in this last one get $21 million of appropriations for our entire county out of the last $55 billion surplus. We were entitled by our population, between the 2 years, over $5 billion. And so
goodness.
we didn't get our $3.5 billion or $3.7 billion this last year, and we instead got $21 million. I said, where's the accountability to the state government on giving back to the people paying taxes? Where, they have no problem telling us we need to provide affordable housing in Arena, where we're now providing most of the affordable housing in Southern California, because that's where our growth is, right? This is where you can afford to still build. You don't have to buy old, manufacturing plants in downtown LA and clean them up and then build. We still have land. And so that land, is to me like the American dream. So the empire that we've become one that has become independent, right? We don't rely upon the government. We don't rely upon the state government in particular. And so our roads, our water, our power, I'm pretty sure LA and San Francisco's power doesn't go out nearly as much as it does out here in our empire. And it's a power grid issue, right? It's them deciding that it's easier to turn off our power than it is into Los Angeles because I think they're worried about the social issues that could occur. And so, but that's not fair to us. And so, I'm always willing to carry more than my fair share of the load personally. But it's not fair to our entire county that we continue to have to stand on our own 2 feet while they take our tax dollars and help people around the state. So we created a measure to get passed where we said it's time for us to stand up. It's time for us to, demand our fair share, and frankly be the squeaky wheel in the government system in California. And hopefully, I believe the county board of supervisors here any day, the next week or so are going to be announcing a commission that's going to be formed. That commission is going to study the state budget and what we send up in taxes and what the state law and the federal law requires under the existing laws on what should be appropriated to us. And I'm pretty sure we're going to find a few opportunities there to go to tell the state of California, either you start giving us our fair share under the law, or we're going to have to seek remedy. And that remedy is either in a courtroom or a courtroom or a courtroom. Now that courtroom has few choices. It can either be, pay us what we're entitled to under the law, or we're able to, file, majority of our citizens are tired of it. That's what it said. Tired of not getting their fair share. And at this point are maybe willing to stand up. And if that means to secede from the state of California and become our own state, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other counties around this state that feel the same. And, we've had more than 20 counties already reach out to us. And so that would like to join the effort if we move to this concept of seceding from the state of California. We're part of the best state in the entire, union, in my opinion. We have the best environment. We have beaches. We have, snow-capped mountains that we've been loved. The snow that's hit us in Southern California. We have the desert, where you can get sun, 300 days a year. We have a tremendous environment. No one wants to leave that until you force, the population to do what's in their best interest.
Absolutely. So what would those, just for reference, so that the people that are listening understand, what would the $3.5 billion be used for should those distributions be properly made?
Well, I mean, that'll really be up to, the commission and the county board of supervisors. But I mean, the four that I, advocate for: water, power, transportation, and affordable housing. And affordable housing includes the homeless population. So I think those are the four that we're the most in need of. And the state didn't appropriate any extra dollars for any of those specifically. They had a transportation line item, but I think they were trying to do that for a high-speed rail between San Francisco and the Silicon Valley. I'm not sure that's the biggest need in the state. I think for those of us that know that water is a big issue in our state, not to appropriate $1 of infrastructure or $1 towards the power grid is a huge mistake. Not to put money more into affordable housing, I think, is a huge mistake. I think we have to start planning for the future. I think, that's where, unfortunately, many governments around this world have beat us to the punch. The Chinese in particular are really planning for the infrastructure. They might do it, unfortunately, over the backs of the civil rights of their citizens, but at least they're doing something for the future. I don't agree with that process that they're doing, but at least they're planning. If we don't start looking for the long run in our country for making sure we're, maintaining the basic needs of our citizens, then I think we're going to only have more challenges in the future.
Absolutely. So now we're shifting gears again as well, because you're also the owner of the Empire Strykers, which is a professional indoor soccer team that plays at Toyota Arena. And they play an integral part in this affordable housing ecosystem as well. So let's talk a little bit about the team and, let's go.
So, people don't really understand the correlation with me sometimes between the Strykers and what we do every day, but it's such a integral part of what I do, building community. These young kids that play in indoor professional soccer, which is the second highest paid league in this country under the MLS, where everyone gets to watch the LAFC and LA Galaxy in Southern California play. But most of these kids are migrant soccer players, right? They're still trying to live a dream of playing professional soccer, but the pay is not as good. And many of these kids are low income. Most of them are low income. And so I've tried to be able to bring them in as inspiration for our youth, to let them know there's no difference between them and the environment these kids are growing up in. And trying to find if I can inspire hope in the soccer players inspire hope in the other low-income kids. And hopefully if we can grow the league and we can grow these kids and their income levels, which is my goal. The only reason I own the team is to help others. It's not a profitable venture by any imagination. Unfortunately, it's sometimes more of my time and resources than even helping National Corps these days, which is something that I want to turn around. And so we've been spending a lot of time trying to figure out how to help the league. How do we bring what to me is the most exciting untapped sport in the entire country? It's to me one of the most exciting sports played on any sports field in the world. We have a lot of high scoring. We score over 10 goals a game on the average. So for anyone that comes in, it's a more physical game than outdoor soccer. It's quicker. The athletes are, it requires a stronger physical presence on the pitch than it does in outdoor soccer. And so what we try to do is show these children and inspire these young kids, which is the largest sport in our inland empire, right? The empire is made up of a lot of young soccer players. It's more popular than football and baseball. And so if that's where your population is, I want to put them on a pedestal and show these kids that they can come to our games. That's why for the rest of the season, I have partnerships with San Antonio Hospital, National Corps, where we're giving away through our sponsors free tickets to these communities where they can get to see this sport. And so we're really hoping for record-breaking crowds in the final 3 games of the season. We created our own attendance record of a little over 5,100 at the last game. We're hoping to have over 8,000 at the next few games. And we hope that's the plan for the future, to be able to help bring these kids into the Toyota Arena, see what these young models, role models can be like, get them to engage with the residents, get them to understand these kids have an opportunity to be better than they are today, both either playing soccer, become professionals. And then I'm going to try to teach the professional soccer players what the rest of life is about, because they can't play soccer the whole life either. So it's a holistic approach to me, to the whole community.
It sounds like the programs that you are involved in are integrated with sustainability at its core, right? And sustainability meaning, elevating lives, training, creating safe environments, licensed preschools, after school daycares, right? The core academy, again, creating this ecosystem of sustainability, of elevation of life and quality of life is the way that I see it. Please talk a little bit about how the philosophy for National Corps overlaps with the Empire Strykers.
So National Corps, it's easy to come up with programs and ideas that we know help people, but it's a bit to the residents at times, like, getting a mailer in the mail that says, hey, there's a educational program to make yourself better and it's free seminar if you come to it. A lot of people have skepticism about free seminars, right? They think, it's a gimmick to get you in the room. They're going to try to sell you, a juice maker or, an online $9.99 seminar that you got to pay for, $99.99 seminar. And so what we try to do is show them that there are people out there that care about them, and that we are invested in trying to give them things that don't cost them any money, but can enhance their lives. Whether it's an after-school program or going to a Stryker game, we're trying to entertain them and encourage them. So if we can get our residents to the games, and the young kids can see what National Corps is providing them as a free night out on the town, but then they get to meet a quality individual like an Uzi Tayu that's now running our athletic programs for both seniors and kids at National Corps. Then they get an opportunity to learn from him. And when they learn from people like Uzi Tayu, they're going to see that man's heart, right? How much he cares about this world, how much he's just one of them, right? He's one of us. He's just a person that cares and wants to help others. And if he can inspire 10 kids, then those 10 kids can inspire 10 more as they grow. So it's really an idea about building community by having good role models. And those role models can be literacy coaches, or they can be Stryker players. And so we want to put in front of them as many good role models as we possibly can in this world, so that kids can realize that there's hope out there. There's a system of belief that if they continue to try hard, believe in their dream, work their plan, do the right thing, their world can change. Their station in life can change. Their environment can change. And next thing you know, they're living in a home like I have, from a low-income kid. And that's all I want, is to give them a hope to believe. It's up to them, at some point, because not everybody's ready. I've learned in this world, Yvette, not everybody's ready for help. Not everybody's ready to change. Not everybody's ready to do what it takes to change their lives. But for those that are, we want to be there.
I love it. So please tell us a little bit more about the Strykers, what their schedule looks like, and give us the stats.
So we currently sit in, I think we have the third best record in the league. Western Conference this year arguably is by far better than the Eastern Conference. So we have I think our fifth place team in our division has this equivalent points and record as the first place team in the East. And so we have a very tough division. We have two Mexican teams that are very good from Monterrey and Chihuahua. We have the perennial champions, the San Diego Sockers, that have won the last two championships. We have an up-and-coming team in Mesquite that's done very well. Unfortunately, has 3 or 4 old Stryker players on it that wanted to live in Texas. They're probably predominantly Latino families that, it's easier in Mesquite, Texas to get housing and raise a family than it is even in the Inland Empire. So we have the best player in the league, 4-time MVP, currently the league franchise leading scorer, both for my franchise as well as the MASL, has the most points. And every night you come to a Stryker game, you're going to see a new record, smashed. He's the LeBron James of our league. His name's Frank Tayu. He's a tremendous human being as well. He's the brother to Uzi, and he and Uzi go out to this world. They did a great article. They've been humanitarian of the years in our league. They go out and, on days off, on hot days in the summer, take water bottles to the homeless and different parks all over Southern California. And we have, one of the best defenders, who's Defender of the Year. The last couple of years, who's been recognized in the first team or Defender of the Year, and Robert Palmer. We have a Rookie of the Year contender, and Gabriel Costa. We have Costa, and we have probably the most fancy foot savvy young man named Justin Stinson that the entire league wants, and so we have a great core. And not to mention, by the way, we have 2 of the best goalkeepers in the league. Chris Toth, the perennial champion, MVP in the league, and 2 years ago MVP goalkeeper Clayson DeLima. So we have a real core group of talented young men that love to play the game. They're good at it. They're exciting to watch. Anyone that comes to our game, I give most of the tickets away, but anyone that buys a ticket and doesn't like the game, I'll be happy to refund their money, because but they got to be honest. You got to say you didn't like the game. It was no fun. It was boring, because it's an exciting game. It's a lot of fun.
No, that is a challenge, because being there, I go to the games. I absolutely love them. I'm a soccer mom myself. I raised 3 kids, all through soccer, at least 10 years. So going there and seeing the games on the field, and in an environment where the ball rarely gets kicked out of bounds, right? So the game is so much more fast moving. It doesn't stop. And I absolutely love it. And I look forward to everyone, especially when I know that the players and the owner are doing such remarkable work for the community and integrating a complete philosophy of elevating and transforming lives. So thank you so much for that, Mr. Burum. And thank you so much for being on the program today.
Well, thank you for having us. And you'll see a lot more exciting things coming out of us, from our new apps to the live streaming. This league is going to grow in proportional ways that no sport's done since the NBA back in the 80s. So keep an eye out for us.
I love it. So with that said, the Empire Strykers are on a roll. Tuesday, March 7 at 6:05. The Empire Strykers play the Chihuahua Savages. Tickets starting at just $5 at the Toyota Arena in Ontario, everybody. Save the date. On March 30th, San Antonio Regional Hospital is presenting a State of the Region, an economic analysis and forecast from Manfred Kiel, Chief Economist, Inland Empire Economic Partnership, and Associate Director of Lowe Institute of Political Economy, Robert Day School of Economics and Finance, and Claremont McKenna College, taking place at the Ontario Convention Center, with tickets starting at $65 per person before March 15th. Visit sar.org for details. That's sarh.org for details. Look for us on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Check us out on scbrtalk.com, and don't forget to download the free live streaming app on Google Play or the Apple App Store. Don't miss my interview with Phil Cothran. He is a lifelong Fontana resident, successful business owner, and philanthropist whose deep affection for his community is apparent through his extensive community service and volunteerism. His State Farm Insurance Agency is also ranked #1 consistently in its division and is one of the most well-known and respected insurance agencies in the region. Next week, we will have Crystal and Gary Carpenter of the Special Angels Foundation, which provides grants for equipment and or therapy to families who are raising special needs children ages 0 to 17 years old throughout the United States. Their grants can always be awarded to assist families with out-of-pocket deductibles and co-payments for eligible medical services or equipment. Do not miss it. We will see you next week, everyone.